Hello friends, I hope you all are having an amazing day. Please grab your drink of choice today. I'm drinking a seltzer water, tangerine lemongrass, and it's really lovely. It's actually my favorite flavor. This one specifically is really nice. So I wanted to come on and do this introduction because this video is a mess. Like, it is truly such a mess. And the reason for that is that this originally was supposed to be several videos, but I just was not able to do everything that I wanted to do, and the timing didn't work out, and I was super busy at work, and then I went on vacation. So this video is like 3 weeks combined into one, and like 3 video concepts that did not get completed. So here we are. I'm on the back end of my vacation. I'm feeling wonderfully refreshed, but I think that it's obvious in the video a couple weeks ago when I was in the middle of all the work I had to do. I have multiple jobs actually, and both of them were really busy. And then I was like trying to prep for my vacation, which meant that just everything, I was trying to like cram to get everything done. And I think that you can tell how tired I am in the video. And actually I tried to get this video out before I left for my vacation. Did not work. I tried to get another video, which I actually filmed, but I didn't have time to edit it. So that one is coming as well, but I also just wanted to say that in that video, I feel like I look and sound just like so tired, and I didn't even realize how tired I looked until I came back from my vacation, was trying to edit that footage, and I was just watching it being like, oh my gosh, like I was seriously trying to make that video when I was already just so pushed to my limits. But I think it's fine. So I'm still going to put it out, and it's fine. It's whatever. But yeah, this video is such a mess. It's such a mess. But at the same time, I feel like there's stuff in here that I like, and I want to keep it, and I want to put it somewhere. So I don't have anywhere to put it except for this amalgamation of several weeks in October. That's what I should call it. This just is what it is. It's a lot of pieces of different videos. So I apologize if it feels a little bit disorienting. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to do a cabin reading vlog where I read Cabin at the End of the World and did a reading vlog for it, which I already have the Cabin at the End of the World review video up, but I meant to do a reading vlog for it. And the thing is that I was only at the cabin for like literally 2 days, and we were there with all of our friends, and it just didn't feel appropriate to do the reading updates. I did actually read the book though while I was in the cabin, and I actually finished it in the 2 days that I was there, so I did actually read it, but it just did not feel appropriate to be filming while we were on this weekend with our friends, so that did not end up happening. I also just did not get any footage of the outside of the cabin, so like I really didn't have that much usable footage, and so therefore the cabin vlog did not end up happening, so I will share some of that now. morning. It is Tuesday. I decided randomly to film a bit of a reading vlog, but I honestly have no plans for it. I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know when you're gonna be seeing it. I really don't know anything, but I'm starting to try to think of a plan for it, because I do have 3 books that I'm trying to get to relatively soon. I'm trying to get through them in the next week or so. So I guess this will just be quite a random reading vlog. Maybe I'll try to find something fun to do this weekend to make it interesting, but not really sure. But did want to show you the 3 books that I'm trying to tackle in this vlog. The first one is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This I am nearly done with, actually. I am buddy reading this with my best friend, and then he finished it without me, so I'm left alone to finish the ending. I am 100 pages from the end. I've been reading this for about a week or so, but I had to stop in the middle of it so that I could read Cabin at the End of the World while I was at the cabin. So yeah, I will include cabin footage actually in this vlog as well, because it was pretty cute. Yes, so the next one, which I am planning on having a dedicated review for eventually, or maybe it's already up, maybe it's already been before this vlog, that is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I don't know actually much about this. There's something called a Blood Maiden. I really don't know. It seems kind of gothic. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about this, but the cover looks really amazing. So I'm excited. It's not super long, so I will whip through this, and it is a brand new release. This was a September 2022 release, so I will have a full dedicated review up on the channel if it's not already up. And then the last book that I'll be trying to cover in this vlog, and I'm not going to have a dedicated review for it, so this is the only place this book is going to be besides a wrap-up, and that is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I just saw in Reagan Peruse Projects, in her wrap-up for September, she read this, and she said it was absolutely terrible, which, I'm kind of prepared for, because I have heard that it's not been good reviews, but I am going to read this. I don't care. I've already committed myself to it. It's going to happen. I bought this with my hard-earned cash, and I love the cover, so I don't care. I don't care that it's getting bad reviews. I'm gonna read it, but I'm not gonna do a review or anything for it. This is just going to be a vlog special. So there you go. Those are the 3 books I'm tackling in this vlog. And I'll also add a tiny bit of Cabin at the End of the World, because I do have footage from the cabin, but I already talked about that book at length, so I'll keep it brief. But there you go. Hopefully we have some wins. Like I said, I'm well into Never Let Me Go, and I have really enjoyed it so far. I actually read this in college, but I don't remember anything of it. It was my freshman year. I didn't know what was going on. Probably didn't actually read the whole thing, which is a shame, because it's really good, and I've been enjoying the eeriness and the just unsettling kind of nature of what's going on. This is about kids at a boarding school, and the boarding school is for special children, and it's kind of messed up. So I'm very close to the end, and I really have enjoyed this experience, and I'm sure that I will read another Kazuo Ishiguro novel in the future. He has several that I'm interested in, but I felt like I could not pick those up until I read the book that he was known for. So yeah, I'm really happy that I'm loving this, and I will update when I'm done. It is much later in the week. It is nearly 8 p.m. on Thursday, and I have had a very busy week. I am extremely tired. Just having quite the week at work. We had a lot of fun things, but like very busy and like I'm trying to like move along a project. So a lot of my energy has just been kind of pulled in a lot of different directions, and I've been doing a lot more social activity this week than I really normally do and is really preferred for me. So I'm quite tired. But I did want to update that last night I was able to finish Never Let Me Go. Yeah, this was amazing. This was so good. I mean, of course, this is well known that this book is very good. Like, this is not new information. But I had a really, really wonderful time with it. Yeah, so the criticism that I often hear, or like why people don't like this book, is that they feel like there's not much of a conclusion, or there's not like a big moment that it builds to, and I don't think I agree, but also like, yes, it does have a more quiet ending, but I think it's also more realistic, and it is saying something about the situation. Like, I don't want to give spoilers, but I do think that it has a kind of ending that is saying something about the situation and the characters, and I can completely understand why this choice was made. It's not a happy ending. It's not a happy ending by any means, but it is a really emotionally resonant ending, and the writing is beautiful. This is like told as a story to the reader from one of the characters, and what I think is really fun about it is that she's telling you this story, and just like, it's as if you're telling a story, and you're like, oh, this happened, oh, but like, to understand this thing you have to understand this thing. So there's like a lot of moving around. It's a very fragmented story. Different pieces of information are pulled from different points in this woman's life, and it just felt like so natural and just such a well fleshed out character. Like, it really felt like Kathy was a real person that, Ishiguro had met before and had like heard this from. That's how detailed and deep this character was. And it was just, it's really different from anything else that I've read. I know that this has inspired a lot of tone and stories from other writers, because it is, such a prolific book, honestly. And it is a bit sci-fi, but it's like, there's no big like dun dun dun, like big reveals. It's like everything, you learn information, and it's just kind of like told to you as if it's not a big deal, because it's not really a big deal to the character. And that's just an interesting way to get information across to your reader. All in all, like, I had a great time with this. I read this with one of my best friends, which was really fun because we both really liked it, and it was just, it was a good reading experience all around. I have seen recently that a couple of people that I know have read it and have not liked it at all, and, once again, like I said in my last video, reading is just so subjective. I am so inspired now to go and read Ishiguro's newest book, Clara and the Sun, but also his backlog. I was reading the notes and highlights that he did for this book on Goodreads, and I was just like, I'm obsessed with this man. Like, he's so interesting, and these are so interesting. So really, really had a good time with this one, even though it's not a happy story. So if you're not in the headspace to, deal with that, it's just not a happy story. But an emotionally powerful one nonetheless. So I will start House of Hunger tonight. I've got to get through that in the next couple days. So that'll be coming around really soon. But I also wanted to talk about a book that I read earlier in the summer, and when I was like thinking I was going to start my YouTube channel, this was going to be like one of the first reviews that I did because it's coming out as a movie. And then I didn't end up, I scrapped the decision to make my channel. But it's here now, so I felt like now is an okay time to talk about it because the trailer for this movie just dropped, and that is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I just saw the trailer for this movie the other day, so I was like, okay, it's time to talk about this book, and I don't think I want to do a dedicated review because it's not a new book. This was like 2016 maybe, so it has been a minute since this has been released. But the movie is coming out. I saw the trailer. I'm very, very excited. So here's my opportunity to talk about The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. So first of all, if Emma Donoghue, that name rings a bell, she wrote Room, which was adapted into a movie starring Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay, if that's his name, a couple years ago. Won Oscars. It was a really, really powerful story, and a lot of people read that book. I did as well. I read Room, which is about a really tough topic to deal with. It is about a woman who was kidnapped and held hostage, and she had a son with her abuser, and he was also basically lived his entire life locked up, locked in a basement. And it was told through the child's perspective, which was really, really it was hard to read, but also very, very creative. Emma Donoghue's ability to tell that story and to write that from his perspective was really amazing. But I read it, and I liked the book, but I did end up unhauling that book because I just was like, I'm never going to read this again. Like, it was a good book, but it was just really hard to read. It was just sad, and it was just a difficult subject matter. So that was kind of all that I thought of Emma Donoghue, and then I heard that Florence Pugh was going to be starring in the adaptation of The Wonder, and then when I found out what The Wonder was about, I was like, wow, this is like right up my alley. I'm really interested in this. And then I read this book this summer and really, really liked it. This was a 4 out of 5 stars. And the writing style in here is so wildly different from Room. This is probably closer to what her actual writing style is, and I loved it. I was like, wow, she could be one of my new favorite authors. She's so good at writing character voice. You are just in that character's head, and you don't always agree with, especially with this character, you don't always agree with her. But Emma Donoghue does such a great job writing a really convincing, compelling identity for that character. So, The Wonder, this is set in Ireland, just a couple years after the potato famine. And this follows an English nurse who is asked to come to a village, a really tiny village in Ireland, because in this village there is a girl that they're calling a miracle, or like the wonder, because she has been fasting. She has not eaten in several months. So they are convinced that she is some sort of miracle child, and they've asked our main character to come and do a watch and watch this child for 2 weeks to see if she actually is fasting. She actually is not eating anything. This is about our main character trying to determine whether or not the girl is actually not eating, or if this is some kind of hoax. And what largely this is about, this book is largely about religion, and our main character, she is a nurse. She's science and medical, whatever she can see in front of her is what she believes. She's not religious. And when she meets this young girl, this young 10-year-old girl, the girl's name is Anna, and Anna is extremely devout, Catholic, just a really, really religious person, and she is, committing to this fast for religious purposes. And this is about our protagonist's clash with religion and the community, and basically she's trying to decide if it's safe for this child to be doing this. So with all that just being said, I will note that when you read this book, you are in the perspective of a character who is not religious and actually thinking that the people who are religious that are allowing this girl to continue with this fast, she finds them irresponsible and even dangerous. And because of that, because you are in the head of such a headstrong character, she's very stuck in her ways, she's not really willing to hear out any other perspective. Because of that, a lot of sentiment in this book is quite anti-religious. And I don't think that Emma Donoghue herself is anti-religious. I actually think that a lot of what Emma Donoghue writes is about religion. I think that's a subject matter that Emma Donoghue is really interested in, especially if you look at some of her other works, including her latest release, which is called Haven, and it's about 3 men, all of different religious backgrounds, that go to this remote island, and I believe they all think that this island is a holy place for their religion or something. I could be getting the end of that synopsis wrong, but so Emma Donoghue, I think she is really interested in religion in general, but I'm just saying that if you are a religious person, this might just be a difficult read because of who the character is that we're following. But it was a great story. I was really, really invested the entire time. I loved our main character because I thought she was really smart, and I thought that she had a lot of conviction in what she was trying to do. First and foremost, she was trying to keep this child safe. So it's interesting to see kind of what goes through her head the entire time. And then also Anna as a character is really, really lovely, and you get to hear this child's side of what's going on and why she's choosing to do this, and it's really powerful. The writing is absolutely beautiful. I had a great time with this book, and I cannot wait to see the movie. I think Florence Pugh, I think it's going to be amazing. But I also think it's going to be a little bit disturbing because it's going to be depicting a child that's literally starving themselves. So, yeah, that could be really difficult to watch. But overall, I enjoyed this book, and it did convert me to an Emma Donoghue fan. So, yeah, there you go. Yay, I got to talk about The Wonder. Didn't make a regular video for it. I'm going to start House of Hunger tonight. I'm so tired. I'm so tired this week. So I think I'm going to make a cup of tea and maybe watch something cozy and fun. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, I have started House of Hunger. I am 30 pages into it, and when I picked up this book, I really didn't know what it was about, but lucky for me, this book moves quite fast. So in 30 pages, we have already we understand just about everything going on. So this is a gothic period drama horror thing with a little bit of sapphic, I don't want to say romance because I don't know if it's gonna have a happy ending, but yeah, it's in there. Okay, so 30 pages in, and we have met our protagonist. She is a woman who is living in the slums of a city, kind of not medieval, but kind of 18th century England-esque, but it's not England, it's another made-up country. And she gets an offer to become a blood maid. And essentially a blood maid is just a woman that rich people have as a servant, but instead of being like a servant that's like taking like care of them or like doing things for the house or things, the rich people literally drink the girl's blood. So that's really all of her purpose. I'm back. It's really only been 20 pages, but I'm reading this and I just felt the need to mention this because it's kind of driving me crazy. And yes, I am on the floor. Sometimes I like to just read on the floor. I have a cup of tea. I have my cat. Yeah, so 50 pages in, and what I'm noticing is that like the word blood comes up a lot. Blood, bleeding. It's just it's like in every single sentence, every other sentence. And in this world, I'm finding out the blood has like magical properties. So they're not just drinking it for fun. It can cure illnesses, and apparently there is like blood fuel and blood wine, and there's just a mention of blood all the time, every other sentence. I get it, this is about blood. And like already we've had so many like not puns, but riffs on, you know, common phrases that involve the word blood, like bloodshed, bloodlust, just everything. Every iteration of blood in 50 pages has already been used. So yeah, it's a little bit obnoxious. It's a little bit overkill. Like, calm down. I'm going a little hard. It's early. But yeah, that's all. Okay, I am at my library yet again. This place sees far too much of me. I am like in here at least once a week between like my holds coming in that I have to pick up and my books being due that I have to return. So they see a lot of me. And that, yeah, ignore my extremely dusty car. I should clean that. Okay, but I wanted to say something because I can't believe that I forgot to mention this in my October TBR, but our book club pick of the month is After She Wrote Him by Sulari Gentill. And this sounds so cool, so fun. This is a 2017 release, so it has been out for a couple years, but I had never heard of it until one of my book club members, it was her turn to pick the book for the month, and this is the one that we all voted for. So this is a mystery thing, okay? So I feel like I say that a lot about the books that like I read, like I can't really, like they don't fit into a perfect genre, and that's exactly how I like them. But this is about two characters, Madeline and Edward, and each of them is a writer, and Madeline comes up with the character of Edward, and she's like, he's gonna be perfect for my next novel, and Edward comes up with the character of Madeline, she's gonna be the heroine of my next novel. So then the back of the book says, but who is the author and who is the creation? As the lines start to blur, who is affected when a killer finally takes place? That sounds so amazing, right up my alley. So this is just, it sounds like so much fun, and I'm very, very excited for this. I hope this is amazing. It says a tour de force, a brilliant blend of mystery, gut-wrenching psychological expense, and literary storytelling. So I'm here for this. I also picked up If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is one of the Dark Academia books that I mentioned that was on my Dark Academia TBR in my Dark Academia vlog. That was a lot of time saying Dark Academia. And at this point, I'm basically just hoarding library books. I pick them up and I hope that I can find time in my schedule to read them. This one even has a quote on the front. This is blurbed by Emily St. John Mandel, who's one of my favorite authors, and she says, "It's a rare and extraordinary novel." So, like, I do want to read this. I really, really do. I just don't know when or how it's going to happen. But what I'm thinking I might do is just take the stack of Dark Academia that I have and, like, read the first chapter and then kind of go from there, like, prioritize. Yeah, sorry anybody else in my area who's trying to read Dark Academia books. I have them all right now. Sorry about that. Good morning. It is Saturday morning, a lovely Saturday morning. I had my cup of coffee. I have been reading my book page magazines, which is like one of my favorite things to do. Book page, I get them for free at my library, but it's this like little magazine that has like it's reviews of books, recent releases, stuff like that. I love to pick it up. It's a monthly issue, so I just got my October one, and so I just love to do that on the weekends. If there's a new book page, I flip through it with my coffee, and I always find some really interesting stuff. So let's just see what I found today. This is the September issue, and one that I found. I've actually heard of this one before, but I just now reading it, I was like, oh, I need to have that. And that's Hana-kan Carries On, and this is a retelling of You've Got Mail, which I just recently rewatched, and it's so amazing. But instead of a little bookstore around the corner, it is an Indian-Canadian family's halal restaurant. So Hana-kan Carries On. That just sounds amazing. Also found a new Ian McEwan. I knew this was coming out, but I kind of forgot about it. So I got that on my list. Ian McEwan is a favorite author of mine. I really like him a lot, so we'll see what that's about. This is the new Emma Donoghue. This is the one I was talking about earlier. I don't know if I'm that interested in it. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. Maybe. I'm not it's not jumping out at me. But yeah, that's one that I saw. And yeah, this is a cool magazine. You get like interviews with the authors and things like that. So I think that's, probably all from here. And then this is the October one. I mean, look at that. This is, spoiler alert, this is the cover for The Gathering Dark, which is a folk anthology. And I will be going to get this book today. A lot of things I'm really interested here. Jackal, I've heard about, which is kind of like a Get Out-esque story about a Black woman who returns to her hometown where there have been missing Black girls, and she has to figure it out before one of her friends goes missing. Thistlefoot is one that's kind of making the rounds right now. It is another folklore novel. Some horror. House of Hunger. Wow, we're reading that right now. Loot is one that I've been kind of interested in. Again, I'm waiting to see how the reviews come out on that one. We'll see. I'm very interested though. After reading this, like I said, sometimes I've heard about the books, but then I will read the book page section and I'm like, okay. I'm really interested in that actually. Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. I've never read a Celeste Ng novel, but this one is a dystopia, and it's kind of like, it is in the literary fiction genre, so that's more my speed than her other stuff. Say hello to a little cat. That's Azula. We never see Azula. Hi, Azula. So I did put this on hold. It's going to be a long time before I get it from my library. I think I'm like number 125 in line or something crazy. So, but yeah, I did put this on hold this morning. And then this is what I'm talking about here. No page wasted. Enjoy exceptional fiction in fewer than 200 pages. Yes, I love that they have this little section, especially for me. And this book, A Minor Chorus, sounds so interesting. This is about a queer Indigenous writer, and I really don't know much more than that, but it does say that it's a feat of technical brilliance, a novel that questions the worth of writing even as it asserts its own value. That sounds absolutely amazing, completely like right up my alley. So I did put it on order at my library, and guess what? I'm the first person, once again, the very first person it's on order. So I will get that probably pretty soon. And I mean, it just sounds amazing. So I'm really excited about that. This is their Halloween section. And yeah, The Gathering Dark. This is the one that I am going to be after today. It is an anthology. Here are some of the authors. And I'm just gonna be interested in what this is because it says that it's Halloween YA, but when I look at it, it doesn't really seem like it just seems like it's like a fairy tale story, but with a terrifying twist. So I'm going to get that book and see what it's about today. So yeah, I absolutely love Bookpage. They often sometimes I've seen the books, but then when I see them in Bookpage, for some reason, it just makes me like, yes, I want that. My next plan is just to start The Death of Jane Lawrence, but actually I also really need to start Before the Coffee Gets Cold, because I'm not going to be able to read it in the next coming weeks as I will be on vacation, so I'm going to try to get through both of these in the next week. So we will see, but that's the plan for today. We're going to go find ourselves an anthology horror book, and we're gonna also find some fall festivals around the city and see if we can get in the Halloween spirit. Another video I was going to do was a typical weekly reading vlog with some fun October events and such, and I just did not end up finishing the books at the right times / God, there's a train. There's a train. That's perfect. See what I mean? This vlog is just such a mess. Like, there's no salvaging it. Done. Okay. What was I saying? Oh my gosh. This vlog is just not meant to be at this point. Yeah, so I was trying to do a week/weekend in October vlog, and just some of the festivals that we went to, I just wasn't able to get the best footage, and also I really want to be mindful of not recording any videos with children, and when you go to these festivals, there's a lot of children, so it did not just end up working the way that I wanted it to. I didn't like the footage, so that got scrapped. yesterday I had an absolutely amazing day. First thing I did was head to Barnes & Noble to pick up a new anthology series that is The Gathering Dark, an anthology of folk horror, and this is edited by Tori Bovalino. So I just am so obsessed. Like, look at this cover. This is so stunning. Beautiful illustration. It's like kind of pink, which I love. But it's so beautiful. And what I've decided to do is that after I come back from my vacation, it'll be very near Halloween. It'll be the 24th. So what I'm going to do is read, there's 10 stories in here, so I'm going to read at least one a day. A couple days I'll read two because they're pretty short, but every day leading up to Halloween. So I will read this month. I'm so excited. It's just so beautiful. It does say that these are YA, and I don't typically like YA, but they're also, they're folk short stories. And I consider folk to be like, kind of like fairy tale-esque. Like, it makes sense that they're for a younger audience. But I've also read the reviews of this, and people are like, no, it's like, there's some genuinely horror stories, even though that it is like YA. So we'll just see. Hopefully I really like this, because I did buy this new. I actually tried to find it at my library first, but it was not, my library didn't have it. This was a September 2022 release, but my library didn't have it, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy it. I mean, it's so beautiful anyway. It's just gonna be a great keepsake when I'm done reading it. And I just hope I really love it. But look at this. Look at the inside jacket says, "These are the stories that haunt us." And I'm just really excited to dive into this. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I hope that I love it, because it's going to make such a beautiful addition to my bookshelves. And of course, because I have literally no self-control, while I was there, well, okay, this is kind of my boyfriend's fault, because he does not buy books at all. He's much better than I am in that regard. But he said that he was going to buy this book, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Neither of us have ever read a V.E. Schwab, even though I do have Vicious sitting on my shelf unread. I need to read it very soon, but he was interested in A Darker Shade of Magic, and he never buys books, so he was interested in this, and I was like, oh, well, then you should do it if you really want to do it. But this was actually at a buy two get the third free sale. So obviously I was like, well, if you're going to pick up this book, then it would be a waste to not do the sale. So yeah, I got A Darker Shade of Magic, which I'm going to let him read first because he picked it out. But eventually I would like to read this as well. And then I got Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I've never read one of Maggie O'Farrell's fiction books, but I did read her memoir, I Am, and that was really amazing. We read it for my book club. It was just amazing. It's like, it's quite sad also, but it's very moving, very emotional. It's a memoir told in essays, and each essay is about a brush that she's had with death, and she's had quite a few of them, but it's also just about how there are moments in everybody's life where you're much closer to death than maybe you even realize, and it was a very emotional, very beautiful book. Her writing is amazing, and Hamnet has been getting so much praise. It's New York Times 10 best books of 2020, and I've heard everybody that's read this has absolutely loved it. This is the fictionalized story of Shakespeare's wife and son, his son who died of the Black Plague, and this is their story of their family. It looks beautiful. I've heard amazing things about it, and it's nice and short. Her writing is amazing. I'm not sure when I will get to this, but I'm happy to have it because I was really impressed with the last Maggie O'Farrell that I read. And so, yes, like I said, it was a buy two, get the third free. So what did I pick up? I picked up If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And as you know, I just picked up this copy from the library. This is the hardcover. I much prefer this cover to this. Like, what even is this? This is very odd. It's kind of like almost hard to read the words, and it's like, this is a little bit odd, but at the same time, I mean, I couldn't pass it up when it was free to me. Technically, I had to pay for other books, but I'm happy about this because I will return this to the library because I know there's people waiting for it, so it doesn't make sense for me to just hold on to it. But also, I'm pretty confident that I will love this because look at this. It's blurbed by Emily St. John Mandel on the front. Emily St. John Mandel calls it a genuinely breathtaking literary thriller. I mean, with praise like that, this gave me the confidence to buy this. And yeah, I hope I love it. This will be, I think, the only dark academia novel that I actually own because I've read everything else from the library. No, that's not true. I have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Forgot. I just recently got that from the used bookstore. Oh my god, I have a problem. I need to stop buying books. But it was a sale. I had to do it. It's not a good reason, but I'm happy with all of my purchases. Like, I'm very excited. And then I can give this back so somebody else can read it as well. Because I kind of felt bad that I took this when realistically I don't think I'm going to get to it anytime soon. But I just keep having hope, that I'm going to get it done. And in other news, this morning I finished House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. The review for this is already up on my channel, so I won't spend too much time on it, but yeah, I will let you watch my review of it where I'll give you my full thoughts. Yeah, this was fun. I gave it 4 stars. If you want to know more about this, watch my review for it. And that means that I am well on track. I'm looking at my calendar. I have the next week to read The Death of Jane Lawrence. I'm also going to try to get through Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I'd love to finish both of these this week. And then today I am starting Before She Wrote Him. We have our first book club discussion about this tonight, so I have got to read my first 50 pages of it. I'm very excited. I really think this could be a lot of fun if it's not bad. Yes, so these 3 are all on deck, and then the week after that I will be going on vacation, and I am bringing tomorrow with me. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So far, I'm well on track for my October reading. That is, of course, contingent on me actually getting through The Death of Jane Lawrence in a week. I don't think it's going to be impossible, but, what if it's not good? I don't know. So that's where I'm at right now, and hopefully we will be able to do this. Okay, so I have just got to page 55 of After She Wrote Him by Sulari Gentill. This is where I had to get for my book club tonight, and I'm just scratching the surface of what's going on in this book. But yes, this is a very meta take on a murder mystery. This is about 2 characters who are both writers, and they are both writing a novel with the other person as the main character, like that they have created this character. So it's a really mind-bending read because, in the middle of paragraphs, it'll switch perspectives and like each of the characters is thinking up the other character. And so the perspective will just change. And it's really interesting. It keeps you on your toes because you do have to pay attention to what's going on. And then there's a murder. Yeah, it's super meta. It's about an author writing a novel about an author writing a novel, and then this author is like writing the novel about the author writing the novel yeah, like it's very, very meta. And it gets even more meta because when you look at like, so one of the characters, the girl, is a crime writer, and she like has already a series with like established characters. Like she basically writes like cozy crime mysteries. And when you look at what this author has previously written, she has her own crime series. And in this book, the character's like, oh, I want to branch out from this like procedural kind of crime drama, and I want to write something more serious. And so like this is that for Sulari Gentill. And then the other character, the guy, is like, he wants to be a very serious like literary writer. And so because of that, the language, the prose of this book, it's like trying to be more elevated. Like I do feel like this is where meta books about writers, about authors, about the process of writing kind of fall into some traps of being just a tad obnoxious or like a little bit pretentious, because they always talk about how the prose needs to sound. And so it does kind of sound like it's trying really hard to sound sophisticated. But it's also like almost satirical in that sense. So I don't know how I'm feeling about this right now, because it is just a little bit odd, and I don't know if it's all the way satire. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to just keep going and see how my thoughts progress with it. Obviously it's a book club book, so I'm gonna finish it, but yeah, it's definitely pretty different, and I don't know how I feel about it yet, but we will see. So I just realized that I was actually planning to read Death of Jane Lawrence for another video that I already had planned that I forgot I was doing, because it's been a long time in the making and it's requiring me to read a lot of books. So it's coming very, very soon, because I am going to read this. I'm going to start this week, but you're not going to see it in this vlog because I just remembered that I'm doing it for a different vlog. So you'll just have to wait to hear. I know this highly anticipated thoughts on this book. You'll just have to wait yet again. But yeah, I just finished filming my House of Hunger review, which is already up on my channel, like I said. And now I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Because I'm going on vacation next week. So I'm thinking like I want to film a video to go up while I'm on vacation. Should I do a tag? I don't know. We'll see. What tag would be really good for October? Should I do a Halloween tag? We'll see. Hello. It's Wednesday already. It's already Wednesday. Have I read anything? No. Literally nothing this entire week. I think I'm just a little bit, I think I've just burnt myself out of reading a little bit, which is like crazy because I've only been doing this booktube thing for a month, but I've just had to read so much because I've had so many library holds. And it's kind of just not really fun to just continually have to just like be like reading 100 pages a day. That's not fun. It's not fun, and it's quite stressful actually. And then on top of that, I've also just had this is like a huge week at work for me, so I'm very, very busy, and I'm going on a big trip next week, so I'm trying to get everything settled for that. And just in general, it's been a pretty stress heavy week, and I knew that going in. It was going to be so much work, and my brain is just very tired. Like I don't get to the end of my day and I'm like, oh, I want to read 100 pages right now. Like it does feel like a chore. So that's not happened. But with that being said, I really do want to read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, because it's very short, and I just know that if I give this to the library, I'm not going to be able to get it back. So I do really want to read it. So I'm going to try to read at least half, if not more, of this book today and try to finish it tomorrow. That would be amazing. And then Death of Jane Lawrence. Oh my gosh. I want to read this so bad, but just for the life of me, I cannot get myself to sit down and do it. You ever feel like that? You're ever like, I want to read a book so bad, but I just can't. I just cannot do it. That's how I'm feeling about Death of Jane Lawrence right now. It's just like, I told myself I was going to read this in October, and the fact that it's not happening, yeah, this is just a weird thing that I do experience with books sometimes, is that like, it's hard to be like, oh, I told myself I was going to do this, and then having not done it, it just like, it makes me feel bad, even though I was the one that set that parameter, and like, no one is making me read this right now, and like, you know what I mean? Just, it's kind of ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm the one that's putting all of this stress to read these things at a certain time. I'm the one that's doing that, and a little bit the library, but I mean, that makes sense. They actually have things that they need to do. Also, I had to go to the thrift store yesterday, and I shouldn't have, but I got more books. Like, why do I do this to myself? I had to get more books. No, I had to get something else, not book related. And then I ended up getting books. I did not have to get books. That's not what we had to do. But what was interesting is I really just think that this is a sign from the universe, because this is what I found. Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. So this book, I swear the universe is like telling me you need to read this book, because a couple weeks ago I saw it on my way out of Half Price Books, and like I'd already bought things, so I was like, no, I can't pick that up right now. It really caught my eye. Then I was at the library. I picked it up because it really caught my eye. And then I was at the thrift store, and you know, it's really hit or miss about what you're gonna find as far as books go at the thrift store, but this was just sitting there on the shelf staring at me. So I think that this is like the universe. It's telling me that I need to read this book. I don't know when I'm going to, but I have it now. It was pretty cheap. It was like $2 or something at the thrift store. So I have it now, and I will read it at some point. Hello, good morning. It's Thursday morning. Thursday already. My week is flying by, but yesterday went well. I got some big stuff done at work, which was so exciting. It feels so good. Like, I'm going on vacation next week, so it feels so good to get some big stuff out of the way, make some progress. Like, that to-do list is just, I can see those checks coming down. And then I also did end up being able to read about half of Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think I was definitely thrown off by the writing style, but when I read the back of the book, the author bio, everything started to make sense, because this author was actually originally a playwright, and this book was originally a play, and that makes sense. The writing style definitely reflects that he is not much of a prose writer. He really, you know, he's a playwright. And I, when I was studying in school, primarily focused on plays and screenplays. So I understand. But this prose is very, it's very like conversational. It's pretty sparse. Like we don't necessarily get a lot of description, and it's not trying to really build much of an atmosphere. A little bit, but like it's pretty like to the point, which I just don't know that I was expecting, because I know that so many people said that this is like very emotional, so I just wasn't expecting that. But yeah, it's fine. It's definitely sweet. It's sweet and cute, and I can imagine that the end is going to tug at my heartstrings. So yeah, this is, if you don't know, about a magical cafe in Tokyo where you can go back in time. But what I really like is that there are very strict parameters to the time travel element, which I love. Like, if you're gonna do something time travel or, you know, sci-fi magic in some way, I do like a lot of rules, because then it creates innate conflict. And that is definitely present here, because when they go back in time, they can't leave the seat that they are in, and they only have until the coffee gets cold. So very short amount of time, and they can't really move around. So whatever business you've got to do in the past, it has to be done right then and there, which I really like. It just pushes the conflict forward so much. So yeah, I'm going to finish this today. You fly through it. Like I said, it is like you're reading a play. It moves so fast. So I'm gonna finish this today, and it feels so good to have another thing checked off my list before a very busy weekend. So yeah, I will check back in when I'm done. Hey, so it's very late on Thursday night. It is nearly midnight, but I did finish before the coffee gets cold. Yeah, it was sweet. It was cute. It's clever story, good character work. I like how it felt almost episodic, like as if you're watching an episode of like a sitcom. I thought that was really nice, because once you start like learn the time travel device, then it becomes about the cast of characters, and it's about these reoccurring characters that you become familiar with. And it's just really sweet, heart-warming, but also it's a bit sad, but not too sad, because like I said earlier, the writing is it's not super descriptive, and it's not like super emotional, so it does kind of keep you at arm's length, even though the story does get a little sad at several points. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I can see why this has become the little internet sensation that it has. I also learned that this is a series, and I think right now it has 3 books, but I believe that a 4th one is coming. I don't know if I'll continue on. I mean, it's a quick read. Like, it took me, like, you could realistically read this in one sitting, like, really no problem. It's very quick. So maybe in the future I will pick up the other books, but, you know, I didn't absolutely love it. Like, I thought it was just fine. I'm happy to have read it, but I'm definitely not, like, itching for more right this very second. But yeah, it was really sweet, and I could see this being a nice gift for someone who maybe like doesn't read all the time, or they don't have the time in their life to read as much as they would like to, because this is very quick moving, and it's got a lot of good stuff in there. It's just not the most like deeply complex thing ever. That's okay. So tomorrow I have a ton of housework to do. Like, my entire house needs to be cleaned top to bottom. Which means that it's time for an audiobook. And I am currently listening to Middle Game by Seanan McGuire, though I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the story. I'm only 30% in, so it's hard to really say, but I'm not loving the story, but I'm also not really loving the narration. The villain is just like so over the top, cartoonishly villain. It's a bit distracting. Yeah, so like I wanted to enjoy Middle Game, but I'm just not super loving it. So I could either do that and try to finish it, or the other option is I have Daisy Jones and the Six by obviously Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I've kind of been like putting that on the back burner, and my hold has come in for it, and I feel like that's a good one because I can put that book on 2 times speed and I probably will be able to get through it in a day. Or otherwise, when I'm at the airport and I don't want to like read my physical book, that would be a good one because I don't feel like it's going to take that much brain power. Like it'll still be an entertaining story. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I have been very curious about Daisy Jones and the Six because a lot of people say it's her best book and that it's like a genuinely like touching and interesting and like good story. Yeah, I mean, I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Malibu Rising, and both of them I was like, it's a little bit overhyped in my opinion, but I could see myself just sitting back and enjoying the ride that is Daisy Jones and the Six. So honestly, it's looking more like that is going to be it. And maybe I will, in the future, try to finish Middle Game. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And oh yeah, haven't even touched Death of Jane Lawrence, so rough. Daisy Jones and the Six. Yeah, I did not have this in my plans at all. But I was cleaning my house, I had an audiobook, it was ready for me. I was like, sure, why not? And this ended up being a very quick book to listen to. I think I listened to my audiobooks on 2 times speed, but regardless, I mean, it was only like, oh my gosh, it couldn't have even been 7 hours. Like, it was so short. And the way that the audiobook is done, it's done with a full cast, because the book is written as like a transcript of an interview. So maybe that's why the book was so short, because it's all transcripts. So I was surprisingly able to finish that book, and that was not on my list. But yes, so Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. What did I think of it? It was fine. I've read several Taylor Jenkins Reid at this point, and none of them have been my favorite thing in the world. I find her stories entertaining a little bit to a point, but mostly they're simple and they kind of have all the same characteristics. At this point, I've read several of her books, so Daisy Jones and the Six has all of her usual trappings, and of course this was one of her, well, I don't know, I actually don't know, but this was an earlier book than the other 2 that I've read, which was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Malibu Rising. So I guess really Daisy Jones and the Six was the blueprint for those 2 books, but regardless, they all have a lot of things in common. They're all, of course, about celebrities, the celebrity culture, but also the main characters are pretty similar. We always have a female protagonist at the front of it who is just drop-dead gorgeous, and everyone's falling all over her, and everyone falls in love with her, and she's just very hard to pin down, but also dealing with some sort of personal trauma or issues of some sort. So in Daisy Jones and the Six, it is drug addiction. So there is kind of a formula to Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and I didn't love the other two, but I wanted to read Daisy Jones and the Six, especially because I heard the audiobook was pretty good. And like I said, it's read by a full cast, which was good, but my criticism of that is that the book is supposed to be about a band from the 70s, 80s who are telling this retrospective in their older age. So, like, they're supposed to be, like, 70s years old. Like, they're supposed to be, like, 70-year-old people, and the actors that did the voice work are very obviously, like, not that old. And so there is, like, a bit of a disconnect. I kind of wish that they would have had some older voice actors read the parts, because it was just a bit weird that was the choice. And also, to that point, the actual writing, like, the voices of the characters did not sound like they were 70 years old reflecting on this time of their life. Like, the writing just sounded very modern, and the way that they were talking sounded very modern as well. So, just, I don't know if that worked. It didn't really feel to me like the story took place in the time setting that it said that it was. There was only vaguely some references to real life celebrities that would have been popular at the time, but I really didn't get the sense of the setting in that story. And while it was an entertaining enough story, it just is not that deep. And so I wanted to read Daisy Jones and the Six because it's said to be one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's best books. Most people who love her really love that book. And for me, it was just okay. So I think that might be the last of Taylor Jenkins Reid that I'm done with, because I'm not interested in her new book at all. Carrie Soto is Back does not interest me at all, and I have read enough. I've seen enough. I can at least now when I say that, people aren't going to be like, oh, but have you read Daisy Jones? Like, yes. I've read Daisy Jones, and I think I liked it better than the other two, but it's still just fine. Like, it's just fine. It is easy to read. Like, I listened to the whole thing, and, like, I was engaged in the story. Like, I was just, willing to learn what happened next, because it is just such a quick read. But not overall the most complex thing in the world. So, yeah, I was happy I read it, but I think that marks my personal end of reading Taylor Jenkins Reid, unless she does something completely different, in which case I guess I should never say never, but for now. Okay, guys, thank you so much for bearing with me through this absolutely ridiculous vlog that fell to pieces along the way many, many, many times. I have a lot more videos coming. I was on vacation last week, so didn't end up getting anything out that I wanted to, but that means I have a lot upcoming. I did finish an entire book on vacation, and I'm really proud of myself for doing that. I have a couple Halloween things coming up, and I also have, of course, a wrap-up and another video that has been so long in the making. I hope to have it in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So a lot of things upcoming. So thank you so much again for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.